Okay, progressive web apps, and I tried to create today's session very beginner friendly. At the same time, if you already work with PWAs, I bet you will learn something new. And after all, I provide lots of like personal thoughts, personal opinions on that topic. Okay, let's go. Today's main what we start from today is some motivation. Why do you ever might want to know about progressive web apps? I heard at one like conference or like some Twitter conversation. Wow, PWA it's so 2019-ish. Is it still relevant? Is it still a big thing? Yes. And as I mentioned, some practical hints, some practical directions for you to either start or dive deeper into that topic. Darren already introduced myself and just a few extra words. I'm a big fan of dev communities. I organize lots of events and including full-scale conference fully dedicated to progressive web applications. Maybe you attended last October PWA Summit, and stay tuned for this year's edition. And I organize developer communities here in Oslo, where I live. I work in Microsoft as developer relations specialist. It's my pleasure to introduce cloud to the developers. And yeah, let's stay connected even after our today's session. WebMaxRU is the simplest way to reach out to me on Twitter. My direct messages are always open, and if I do not answer some questions today, just not enough time, always feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. My great pleasure to stay connected with you. Let's start from like motivation, inspiration, some numbers. So is PWA gaining popularity and gaining traction? Yes. Latest edition of Web Almanac. I recommend you to read this report very carefully. This is really interesting snapshot of web created every year, and I'm proud to participate in writing chapter about progressive web applications, or like writing and reviewing. It says over 3% of the web addresses from the sample that Web Almanac scans, it's around 7 million addresses, uses service worker. And we can approximate that these are progressive web applications, because service worker is a heart, engine, brains of PWA. And these 3% actually serve almost 1/5 of the traffic of the page loads. That means that quite large websites, quite popular ones, are going into that technology. I think these are quite inspiring numbers, and of course they are growing from year to year. Let's put hat of either personal web developer or some business that needs an application, and let's pretend that we want to build an app. As I mentioned, by we, it could be like multiple entities, starting from ourselves, like for example, hobby developers. And by application, we mean some experience, let's say, a bit more prominent than maybe web page. And what do I exactly mean by good application? First, it should bring value to the users, right? So definitely we need some interesting features for people to get engaged with this application, so they use it for some purpose. And application is not running like separately, right? It's always within some environment. And I mean, by platform, I mean a pretty broad definition of that idea. Second, if we created super duper awesome application, we have to give some chance to people to find it, and after they tried this, maybe for the first time, it's always a good idea to keep it somehow available for people. And on that sense, having something installable on user device is one of keys to success. Because yeah, web address is one thing, and to go back to this, let's say, web project, web solution, web service, whatever, you have to open the browser, you have to remember the URL or scan through favorites. It's too cumbersome, right? But if there is icon on the desktop or home screen, if you talk about mobile device, completely different feeling. And plus, what about having some extra ways to reach out to people, to re-engage them, for example, by leveraging web push notifications?